Once upon a time, in a sleepy little town called Hollowbrook, there stood an old, creaky mansion that everyone avoided like the plague. They called it Hollowbrook Manor, a place with a chilling reputation that sent shivers down your spine just mentioning its name. Rumor had it that the manor was haunted by the ghost of an old caretaker, Old Joe, who had mysteriously disappeared decades ago. Locals claimed they could hear eerie whispers and see flickering lights from the mansion's windows at night. One stormy evening, a group of curious teenagers decided to challenge fate and explore Hollowbrook Manor. There was Sarah, the fearless leader, always seeking an adrenaline rush, Mike, the skeptic, armed with his camera to debunk any spooky claims, Lily, the bookworm who loved a good mystery, and Jake, the jokester who never took anything seriously. As they entered the manor, the air grew colder and shadows seemed to dance on the walls. The group chuckled nervously, attributing the strange sensations to their own imagination. But as they ventured deeper into the mansion, their laughter turned to hushed whispers. Climbing a dusty staircase, they reached the upper floor. Suddenly, Mike's camera malfunctioned, his flashlight flickering. "Just bad timing," he mumbled, trying to hide his unease. Lily discovered a dusty old diary in a forgotten corner. It belonged to Old Joe and recounted his increasing paranoia about something lurking within the walls of the mansion. Ignoring the diary's ominous warnings, the group pushed on. In a grand, cobweb-laden room, they found a portrait of Old Joe himself, his eyes seeming to follow them. Jake chuckled nervously, making a joke about the old man watching over them. But as he laughed, the room's temperature dropped, and the portrait's eyes glowed a sinister red. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the mansion, and the group froze. They followed the sound to a room at the end of a dark hallway, its door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, they stumbled upon a decrepit nursery, its walls lined with cracked porcelain dolls. In the center of the room, they saw a translucent figure, Old Joe, his hollow eyes staring into nothingness. Terrified, Sarah mustered the courage to speak. "Joe, what happened to you?" The ghostly figure turned slowly, and a mournful voice echoed through the room. "I uncovered a dark secret within these walls, a malevolent force that consumed me. It won't let me leave." As the story unfolded, the air grew colder, and the dolls began to move on their own. The group felt an otherworldly presence surrounding them. Old Joe pleaded for their help to break the curse that bound him to the manor. The teens realized that they were the key to setting his spirit free.
With shaking hands, they followed Joe's instructions, piecing together the shattered remnants of a mirror that had once trapped the evil within the mansion. Lightning flashed, and a deafening roar filled the room as they shattered the mirror, releasing a torrent of dark energy. Old Joe's figure wavered before dissipating into the air, leaving behind an eerie silence. The manor was calm again, its haunting presence lifted. The group hurriedly left, forever changed by their encounter with the supernatural. They never spoke of that night to anyone, fearing they would be labeled as crazy. But in their hearts, they knew they had faced the unknown and triumphed over evil, leaving behind the chilling legacy of Hollowbrook Manor for generations to come.
As they cautiously entered the room, they were met with a sight that froze their blood. The walls of the room were covered in faded, peeling wallpaper that depicted grotesque, contorted faces that seemed to scream in agony. The air was heavy with an unnatural chill, and a putrid odor lingered in the room. In the dim light, they spotted a rusty, old crib in the corner. It was swaying gently back and forth, as if rocked by invisible hands. Lily's voice trembled as she whispered, "Do you guys see that?" The others nodded, unable to tear their eyes. The words were incomprehensible, but the haunting melody sent shivers down their spines. It was as if the very air itself was singing to them. The crib's rocking grew more pronounced, and something inside began to stir. The teens watched in terror as a shadowy figure, no taller than a child, slowly materialized within the crib. It had hollow, sunken eyes and long, bony fingers that reached out toward them. Without a word, they all knew they had to leave, and fast. But the rooms seemed to conspire against them. The doors slammed shut with a deafening bang, and the temperature dropped to freezing. They could see their breath in the air. Desperation set in as they tried to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. The spectral figure in the crib continued to approach them, its ghostly form growing more solid with each step. Just as hope seemed lost, Sarah remembered the shattered mirror they had used to free old Joe's spirit. She pulled it from her bag and smashed it against the floor. The room erupted in a blinding light, and the figure in the crib let out a blood-curdling scream. When the light faded, the room was empty, and the door swung open. Gasping for breath, they stumbled out of the room and raced down the stairs, out of the mansion, and into the safety of the stormy night. They never spoke of what they had seen that night, but the terror of the nursery haunted their dreams for years to come. Hollowbrook Manor remained abandoned, its sinister secrets hidden from the world, a place forever cursed by the darkness that dwelled within its walls. Of course, here's the conclusion of the story with proper grammar. With desperation setting in, they tried to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. The spectral figure in the crib continued to approach them, its ghostly form growing more solid with each step. Just as hope seemed lost, Sarah remembered the shattered mirror they had used to free old Joe's spirit. She pulled it from her bag and smashed it against the floor. The room erupted in a blinding light, and the figure in the crib let out a blood-curdling scream. When the light faded, the room was empty, and the door swung open. Gasping for breath, they stumbled out of the room and raced down the stairs, out of the mansion, and into the safety of the stormy night. They never spoke of what they had seen that night, but the terror of the nursery haunted their dreams for years to come. Hollowbrook Manor remained abandoned, its sinister secrets hidden from the world, a place forever cursed by the darkness that dwelled within its walls.